Hi everybody, welcome to English Today. The other day you used this incredibly well. You did a fantastic job of writing sentences using your senses. And we're going to use this again today. But first, let's have another look at one of the examples that somebody wrote the other day. Here you go. In front of me, I can see a big black and red spider on a colossal spider web waiting for an insect to fall in its trap. I thought this was a brilliant sentence. And then I got to thinking, if everybody in year 2 is a brilliant writer, does that mean my job's finished? No, 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 no. Because we can go from being brilliant to being even more brilliant. And that's what we're going to try to do now. Let's think about this word for a second. Big. It's okay. It's a describing word. We can use it in noun phrases, but the word big isn't very interesting. It's an okay word, but we don't want to be okay. We want to be amazing. So how many other words can you think of that mean the same thing as big, but might be a bit more interesting? I'll give you one to start off. Can you think of any more words that mean big? I'll give you some time to think about it. If you want extra time, you can pause the video. You don't have to write any down because I'm going to show you them now. How many can you think of? Oh no, I've thought of 3 so far. I think there are lots. Let's have a look at the ones I thought of. Big, huge, vast. Now this isn't a word I've seen very often, especially in your writing, but vast means something that is very, very big. Normally not when you're talking about a person, but it could be a place or a thing. Humongous. Oh, I do like this word. It was used quite a lot in the BFG. So is the next word. Gigantic. I bet some people did say giant. That would be a great word to use too. What about the word enormous? Enormous. It's slightly more interesting than big, isn't it? Colossal. Now, it's made me very happy to see people using the word colossal in their writing. Big thumbs up if you have. Well done. And the last one I thought of, massive. There are more, of course, but I think we can agree that these ones around the edge are a bit more interesting than big. Let's have another look at that piece of writing about the spider. In front of me, I can see a big black and red spider on a colossal spider web waiting for an insect to fall in its trap. Well, let's say well done to this person for using colossal. That's fantastic. We do have the word big. I'm glad to see we didn't have big twice. We did just have it once, because big and then big again wouldn't have been quite so interesting. Can we use another word instead of big? Let's choose one of these. Well, we've got colossal, so don't choose colossal. Which word do you want to fit in this sentence? In front of me, I can see a black and red spider. Not big. Which one? Well, we've got colossal, so we're not going to use that. We don't want to use big. I've used a humongous black and red spider. I'm going to read this sentence again. In front of me, I can see a humongous black and red spider on a colossal spider web waiting for an insect to fall in its trap. We've changed it from being good to being even better. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you 4 pictures. And with those pictures, I want you to think carefully about different words you could use that mean the same thing. We want to choose the most interesting adjective, the most interesting describing word to make our writing awesome. All you need to do for now is think about other words you could use instead. In this picture, I'm thinking about the cold wind. Maybe when I close my eyes, I can feel the cold wind. But cold? Well, it's okay. Can you think of other words to use instead of cold? I'll give you some time before I show you mine. Cold, you could say frosty wind, or one of my favourites, bitter wind. It's a strange word to use. Normally we talk about bitter when we're tasting something, but this is bitter, meaning really cold. Freezing, I bet some of you thought of that. Freezing wind, icy wind, wintry wind, and then another funny one. It almost feels sharp on your face. It's so cold. Biting, the biting wind. Lots of examples of words that mean the same thing as cold, but are a bit more interesting. You're going to use those in some writing today, but not yet. Right now, we are just thinking. Let's think about a different word. Oh, I loved this picture. And I was going to talk about the scary flashes. Can you think of other words that mean the same thing as scary? Instead of the scary flashes, you could have the terrifying flashes of lightning, or the petrifying flashes of lightning. So scary, it almost turns you to stone. Or the frightening flashes of lightning. Or the last one, fearsome flashes. I like the word fearsome. You know the word awesome means when you're full of awe and something is amazing. Well, if awesome, you're full of awe. Fearsome, you're full of fear. A great word to use. All of those words are much more interesting than scary. Okay, in the next picture, we've got two different words to think about. Here, in the distance, you have a mountain range, and I've decided to call it a big mountain range. And then in the water, a nice reflection. I think they're a bit boring, don't you? What other words can you remember that we could use instead of big? Huge, a huge mountain range. Massive mountain range. One of our favorites, colossal mountain range. Or one that we don't see very often from year 2, vast mountain range. There are other words that you could use for big as well. I'm sure you thought of them or remembered them from earlier. What about the word nice? Ugh, nice is such a... Well, it's fine. It's okay. It's all right. It's nice. Can we make it a bit more interesting? What words can you think of instead of nice to talk about this reflection? What if I said beautiful reflection, or stunning reflection, or incredible reflection, or remarkable reflection? Those 4 words there are tricky words, but goodness me, they're more interesting than the word nice. In our next picture, which is our last picture, there are another 2 words we're going to look at. We've got the old fishermen and the calm water. I quite like the word calm. There are more interesting words you can use. Old is a tricky one because you use different words for old when you're talking about people and when you're talking about things. Let's have a look at some words for old you could use to talk about people. Ancient means really, really old. Remember when we've been learning about ancient Greeks or ancient Egyptians? really, really old. In front of me, I can see ancient fishermen sitting on bamboo rafts. Elderly. Now, this you would only use to describe an animal or a person. Elderly means they're old. And this one, really only for a person. Grizzled means somebody who's not only old, but they're a bit grumpy too. How about the word calm then? Can you think of any other words to describe this calm water? Perhaps you thought of peaceful water or still water. The next one is super tricky, but it's an amazing word to use in your writing. It means calm. The word is serene. I'm pretty sure we're going to be going, ooh, for a fancy word if anybody uses that in their writing. And the same thing for the last one. The next word is tranquil. Also means calm. Some fantastic words there that we are going to look at again now. So if you've forgotten all of them, don't worry. Hold your horses, cool your jets, you'll be absolutely fine. That's the thinking part. Now we're going to move on to the writing part. So you are going to need your English book ready. I'm going to show you the 4 pictures, and you're going to write a sentence for each one. So that is only 4 sentences, but they are going to be super sentences with some of those interesting words. If you want to do more than 4 sentences, that would be fantastic. You'll be having extra practice, getting even better at becoming a fantastic writer. Use this to help you out. I'm going to show it before and after every picture so that you can remember it. This is the first picture. So think about this cold wind. It's not going to be a cold wind. And use this to help you. Are you going to say, in front of me, I can hear? Or are you going to say, when I close my eyes, I can hear or taste, smell? Think about that cold wind. But it's not going to be cold because we're going to use one of these interesting words. Choose your interesting word and write your sentence. Remember, you can use other things as well, like conjunctions. You could use and to link more ideas together. Or you could use adverbs as well to make your writing even more brilliant. Have a go at writing that sentence now. Here are those words. And here's the prompt that you can use. Have you finished? If you haven't, don't worry, take your time. Just pause the video before you move on to the next picture. Okay, this time we're thinking about scary flashes. But we're not going to use the word scary. We're going to choose more interesting words. We're going for the best writing ever. So we want to make it super successful by using those noun phrases, those conjunctions, maybe even those adverbs. Decide, are you going to use in front of me or in the distance? Perhaps when I look around, or if I listen carefully. It's up to you. Are you going to see them, feel them, hear them? Choose your word for scary. Write your sentence now. Pause the video before you move on to the next one. You don't have to do 2 sentences for this picture, but you could. I only want 1 sentence, but you could do 2, or even more than that. In the distance, or when I look down, or in front of me, I can see, I can feel, I can hear. Not a big mountain range. Big, boring. Let's use one of those interesting words. Not a nice reflection. Let's use a more interesting word than that. Write your sentence now. If you can think of other sentence starters, you can use those. This is your writing. This is you getting creative. You are the writer. Pause the video and finish those sentences before we move on to our last picture. Here is the last picture. You don't have to do 2 sentences for it. You can just do 1. It's up to you. We're not going to use the word old for these fishermen. We're going to use one of those really interesting words. If we're writing about the water, we're not going to say it's calm. We're going to choose one of those really interesting words. Makes our writing more exciting for anybody who reads it. Decide which sentence you're going to write. Have a look at this and think to yourself, which sentence starter am I going to use? Which sense am I going to use? And can I make my writing even better by using things from the green box? Finish your sentence. Make sure every sentence has got a capital letter and a full stop. Challenge yourself to do something even better, perhaps. Squeeze in an adverb into one of your sentences, or use a conjunction to link sentences together. When you've finished all of those sentences, take a picture and send it to me on Class Dojo so I can see you've definitely done 4 sentences. Or if you really want to go that extra bit further to be a superstar writer, you could do more than 4 sentences. I'd love to read any of your ideas. Send them to me on Class Dojo. I look forward to seeing them. Well done, everybody.